Hello, my name is Fuad Haloum. I'm here today presenting you with a sculpture I found very beautiful and found um, very unique in its shape and form. And the reason why I chose a sculpture instead of just a religious painting, I chose a religious sculpture instead. This was because I personally love sculpture very much, and my dad actually was a sculptor, graduated from fine arts. So today I'm presenting you the Pieta. It's the statue of the Virgin Mary, enthroned almost, depicting a biblical theme which happened between uh, the crucifixion and the resurrection. And what it basically shows us is Jesus Christ laying in his mom's arms. The theme here, obviously, is um, that of what could have been a very sorrowful thing as it came down from scripture, perhaps. This is not necessarily from a scene from tradition, more so, but it was detailed in scripture and um, Peter's Bible very detailedly. And you can notice how it was. So, what's a pieta? A pieta is Italian for piety or compassion or mercy, and this is exactly what this sculpture is supposed to show here. It shows us, um, it shows us the angelic face of the caring, reflective, silent, resilient, valiant mother caring for her son, despite his age and despite her age, he will always be her son. And even though she should be older than him, he or she is depicted as almost like a very, very young. And her youth is emphasized. And her youth, she even looks younger than Jesus. And this could be explained by different things. One could be, in a sense, this is, it was said that this is how Michelangelo understood the Trinity in terms of Christ is both the Son and the Father. That's why his age in comparison to the Virgin Mary is irrelevant. And at the same time, her being younger, even than Christ, shows you her impenetrable perfection, her reflectiveness, the ultra realism in this statue. You can see it depicted through how his weight, Jesus Christ's weight, rests on his mother's lap. Her fingers push against his flesh, and you can see it causing the ripples in the marble, almost turning the marble into truly uh, real flesh. That deep carving could also be seen in those wrinkles in her of her garment around her breast region and everywhere else. This garment was also used by Michelangelo to hide the fact that she is, if she were to stand, she would be much taller than Jesus Christ. So the way Michelangelo was very conscious of the fact that he wanted to depict and sculpt Jesus Christ as, a fully aged, strong, middle-aged man in glory, gracious, strong, beautiful, perfect, truly. And at the same time, he wanted to show the Virgin Mary holding him also in almost the enthroned theme, or her also being in glory and not in sorrow but in victory. Um, this, her. This was supposed to be in contrast. Her exaltedness could be seen in contrast to the exuberance um, and the fabric, and she's basically the ideal beauty of a young woman, the archetype of femininity. What prevails is the welcome, um, which is necessarily silent. And you can see it. She's loving, she's reflective. She has her left open hand, says, "This is so." She's there for her son who has just undergone incredible sorrow, but at the same time, it's very pronounced that Michelangelo here did not emphasize the sorrowness of the whole scene. Um, her features, they're more magnified and angelic rather than they're sad. And this was intentional. He wanted his Pieta to be less about death and more about, in his own words, Michelangelo's, um, the religious vision of abandonment and the serene face of the sun. Um, you know, and even though the two bodies may appear isolated from one another, yet you can see a deep emotional connection because they belong together. Jesus Christ and Mary, Virgin Mary, they belong together like a son and child, even though he is the Son of God and she's the Theotokos, and they don't have a traditional son and mom relationship. However, she was chosen for him because she carried humanity, and this test now she's going through, she's weathering and she's withstanding with incredible grace and wisdom, and you can see her solemnness through her eyes, through those very soft features and very deep reflective expression. Moreover, um, you can of course it's very easy to note how perhaps the reason why she's depicted so young here, the Pieta, was perhaps because Michelangelo himself lost his mother and he had a sort of an idealism, especially during this age, an idealism in art, and perhaps it spilled over in different things. He had been quoted once saying that perhaps his skill with the chisel came from because he was breastfed from his bolia, which is like a wet nurse, which happened during his childhood from age almost 0 to 2. And then once he returned home, his mom was already pregnant, and then she later died when he was at the age of 6. So perhaps this was also before he had developed any deep relationship with a woman, growing up in a man dominated household. And here you could see how to conclude this video, I will introduce you to a little bit of a trivia. Back in 1972, in May, came a crazy or a disturbed, unhinged geologist who screamed, "I am Jesus Christ," and struck the statue of Pieta in St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican 12 times. Um, Unfortunately, and some of the spectators took it. Here you could see some of that. They tried to restore it. However, some spectators took some of the pieces, which definitely complicated the restoration uh, efforts. Moreover, it's also the only and sculpture to be signed by Michelangelo, and it was actually he regretted doing so much. He did it because he had heard two people ascribing one of his works to a different artist, and this kind of infuriated him. So he went and obscurely signed it almost begrudgingly. He later regretted this and he thought it was an act of vanity and he wished he could fix it. Michelangelo attempted to break and destroy the statue during his life. Here again, the emphasis on um, mother, the mother of Christ as the symbol of modesty, of purity, of motherhood, of virginity, um, of youth, and of eternal care and love. She looks at her son in passion. This is her hand. She's the lady. One can say she's either saying, "This is so," or she's showing us the way. She's aligning with the way the hand of Christ is pointing, almost saying that through Christ there's salvation, and this is the way, and so you should follow him. She's almost being Our Lady of the Sign, Our Lady who shows the way. And this here brings us to the conclusion of this presentation of Michelangelo's Pieta. I hope you enjoyed it and you had some fun watching it. Have a great day.